Are we set? 6:01?
Yep.
Okay, we want to call this meeting to order? Okay, we don't have, well, I don't have a flag handy to do the Pledge of Allegiance, but if you have one, you know, feel free to pledge your allegiance to it as needed. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Did anyone have any questions, comments, complaints regarding the minutes?
Yeah, my computer ran out of ink.
Okay. But do we approve of the minutes?
Move the approved.
I do have a question. I read it that present via Zoom were all of us, and that wasn't really accurate. Some of us were there, right? That was.
Yeah, some of us were there.
So do we want to change that and have it accurate?
Ooh, who was there?
I was.
Phyllis.
Carl was.
Was I?
Pat, you were.
Honestly,
I can't find Pat right now.
Yeah, I'm here. It says Dave.
Oh, okay. Okay. Pat, you were
wait,
there.
if I find my camera.
I thought it was just you and me, Phyllis.
I
And
don't
Ron
think
and
so.
Holly. We were all, we were real spread out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would trust
Pat,
Carl.
Was that,
Pat, you were
was
there
that
by
after
Zoom.
an election meeting?
yes,
Oh,
Then I was there.
so
Yep.
Pat was there.
yes, you were. So we'll,
I think maybe the executive meeting was after the election meeting. So I don't think the board meeting was. I think that was
Oh.
early in July, wasn't
Oh.
it?
yeah,
And
yeah.
Then the board meeting, it
Okay.
wasn't.
The
Yeah,
board meeting was in the big conference room,
Right.
and then
But
the
I think it was
executive
the-
was in the computer room.
Yeah,
Yes.
the executive in July, though, I think was the one that was preceded by the election, and that's what they're questioning. So I don't think Pat was there either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You wanted to say that Phyllis and Carl were in person. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, do we want to approve the minutes as amended?
I'll approve.
Okay,
Question.
yes.
I'm marked as abstained for the last two votes. And
the
I
reason
can't remember if it was my internet that went out or
Right.
what, but,
Yep.
well, okay.
It
It's
was
just
one,
mad.
and I do apologize. I should have reached out to you. I didn't know how to handle that issue, and I thought that might come up, but we just lost you. And so
Yes.
I
That's
wasn't
fine.
sure. Okay, thank you. But that's why it's worded that way. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, can I get a motion?
I move that we accept it as corrected.
Okay, can I get a second?
second,
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Awesome. Okay, next on the agenda, treasurer's report.
You've got the financial statement. Again, we're staying right below budget. I didn't have any questions. If anybody has any.
wait 1
I
second.
do. I have a couple.
Okay,
Good.
The other on expenses with disability and work comp, it always seems higher than it's budgeted for. Are we especially have a sick staff, or do we not budget enough?
I believe that just represents what we pay on a quarterly basis. We submit ideally the federal taxes, even now then there's no payment there, but then there's a quarterly disability payment. And I've been waiting to hear back from them. I'm not sure that I didn't make an error in the first quarter, and I've just kind of been biding my time to hear back from them. But I've been kind of watching that number too as well. So it doesn't actually, like, the disability is what we've budgeted. That doesn't matter how many are out or not out. And so I've kind of been watching that too. So I don't know if there was an error made in the first quarter, to be honest, or if in fact it just was under budgeted last time, because the percentage did change from last year. So I will try to dive into that a little bit deeper and let you know for sure. But I've kind of been wondering about that one myself.
You said you
I
had
have a
Over the years,
question.
Yes,
It almost
has a
always goes
question.
over.
yeah.
How did we end up being $15 short on the contributions from the foundation up at the top? It says 39,985.
Because there's a fee, there's a service fee, like when it, when you have an electronic transfer. So each $15 is
yeah?
held each time.
I never noticed that before.
Learn something every day.
I have a question too. Let's see, under expense, can I hold it up and show you where I'm in? Right there. It says that overtime and holiday salaries. How could we have overtime and holiday pay when we haven't been there? Do you understand what I mean?
Right, and there have been some, the IT department has included some overtime. That's about the only source of the overtime. Deb is about the only source of the overtime.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I'm also questioning the travel and continuing education.
Well, the continuing ed is because we paid for that program that they took online, right?
Oh, okay. Is that it?
Well, and I mean, there has been some travel, the IT staff has been out and about, and the employees do like to turn things in. I mean, we're still 20% under, we're only at 31 versus 59, but there still is, when they turn something in, I was kind of directed to trust them. So I generally don't question them. And I feel that that's okay. But, they have done some various travel, just mileage and things.
And some people don't always turn it in every month. They'll accrue it.
Right.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've got stuff from January I haven't put in for.
Okay. Well, that's our job, is to question this stuff, find out.
Absolutely.
I have another question.
Yes.
I take it, Holly, that you write the grants?
No.
No. Okay, I was wondering who writes them and if perhaps we could learn a little bit more about them.
No,
The grant-
actually, I think the librarians do the writing. I have never written a grant, to tell you the truth. I just deposit them.
Okay,
The librarians do the grant writing. I know Amanda Farley, who heads up children, has done grant writing. Maggie has done grant writing. She's in genealogy. Doris Jean has done grant writing, at least at the local level for the teen space. And
Don't forget Jenny.
yeah. So I can, I can do something up for you to kind of let you know what has come in this year. Those are the three that I can think of off the top of my head. Just recently, Doris Jean received $1,000, and that was all local, I believe, to, well, and Jenny does grant writing as well. A lot of the art programs that are done, with the local artists, with Wayne Yarrow and Philomena, the majority of that is funded by grants. Yeah, so I can't take credit for any of that. I just deposit it.
well, I was just curious because grants are generally, a decent part of a budget, and
Right.
I'm wondering how that's done, what agencies or where they're applying and how they're applying, that kind of thing, and how successful they've been.
Right. I would say the majority, I would say, are local, which is nice. You know, it kind of is a win for the community as a whole. And now maybe not so much the children's librarian. I would say hers are maybe a little more far-reaching, but I could try to get a little more background.
So when you say local, do you mean like the Arts Council and the and the Community Foundation?
Yes.
Yes.
And like even Maggie's ukulele class was funded by a similar local foundation. I can't think of that name right off the top of my head. And how they find these sources, I'm not 100% sure. That's why they're librarians, I guess. And yes, like the Community Arts Foundation, the Arts Council, yes.
I just like to learn more, and I'm on a couple of other boards, and we're sometimes involved in grant writing, and
Okay.
I would like to know more about that. One last question. Marketing is mentioned in several things, and I'm wondering what kind of marketing that refers to, who does it, how is it done?
Michelle, go ahead, Holly.
Yeah, I believe that Michelle Barrett at West Elmira heads up most of the marketing, and I think she does a great job. She's kind of the one that spearheads the Patron Appreciation Week that is held annually. She's the one that spearheads the sign up
Library
for
card.
week, and I think she does a great job. She buys promotional things, pens and things like that, and kind of like I said, spearheads the events, the giveaways that are done at each of the branches. And then she had actually directed me to pay for some of the signage that we've had to purchase. We've had a lot of unusual purchases this year, and you know, just for the spacing and that kind of thing. So some of that designated money has been used in that way as well.
Okay. Thank you. And I'm not criticizing anything. This is just for my own education.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Done with questions, and it's saying my bandwidth is low, so I may be going out again, but we'll see.
Okay. Did anyone else have any questions?
I move it.
Okay, can I get a second?
And
I second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that has been approved. Report of unpaid bills. Does anyone have any questions about the unpaid bills?
The new total is $72,748.80.
And that big increase came from the first installment for the payment of the boiler at Steel. That was just applied. So that's why the big increase. It was a $70,000 increase.
No questions, move it.
Does anyone have any questions?
What's the total?
The new total is.
I don't see the total that you talked about. I'm not sure where you're looking here.
Right, it's the new one didn't go out. This was just added. I just sent this to Jack this afternoon.
Ah,
Right,
okay.
there was a new bill that came in for Postler and Jackal. They're installing the boiler at Steel. So these are reserve funds that will be replenished once that New York State money comes in. So the new total is $72,748.80. So it was a significant increase, but it was all in one place.
So was that under the general fund or the grant fund?
Yes, under the general fund. There's nothing in the grant fund this time.
Okay. So could you repeat that number again, because I cannot remember what it was.
$72,748.80.
Okay. Can I get, Jack moved it. Can I get a second?
Second.
The general fund I see has 88,000. So I'm
Well,
confused.
you're looking at the early one.
Well, apparently
That's
it was, they
August
got a
5th.
new bill in and we never got the documentation for that.
It just came in
But
yesterday.
what you guys accepted at the executive meeting was the 88, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And
That's
Does that
what-
make sense, Kevin?
so this is the
Yes.
August 20th general fund. Got it?
Right, except that apparently there's an additional bill that is not on
Yeah,
what we received as part of the board packet.
right. Okay,
And that bill is the payment for the boiler.
boiler.
Okay, so I have had a second for that. Are there any further
Yes.
questions before we vote? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, I move that we have Ron sign the bills because none of us are there to sign the bills. Can I get a second?
Aye. Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nope.
Okay. Next on the agenda,
What about bills that require 2 signatures?
that is an awesome question. Ron, what have we been doing for bills that require 2 signatures when only one of us is, when you're the only one authorized to sign?
We sent out a couple of them with only one signature.
And have we gotten any pushback from the bank over that?
Nope.
Okay, then. Good to know.
I was told that that was something actually more internally for us to monitor, that the bank really, they weren't gonna to monitor that. So I think it's really more of an internal protection kind of thing.
Oh, to like prevent large scale embezzlement?
Yes.
Okay, Ron, don't large scale embezzle us, okay?
But I'll try not to.
Correspondence, do we have any?
Yes, we do.
Oh,
Lovely Renoir chrysanthemum card.
wow.
Richards, she's thanking the West Elmira Library staff for reopening in the midst of the pandemic. She's missed her weekly trips to the library and the joy of having new books to read. She tells us to please take care of ourselves and hope to see you in the fall. We got a thank you letter for the donation of face shields to the Steuben County Habitat for Humanity. And it's signed by Alex Raleigh, who is the restore manager for Habitat. I got an email from a gentleman by the name of Kevin Handy. He wanted to give kudos to local history and genealogy librarian Maggie
Face
Um,
Young.
shields for the Habitat for Resource.
Yeah. Was there a question? Okay. He thanked her for her local knowledge, tenacity, and heroic efforts on his part. He's writing a book featuring more than 30 letters between his second great-grandfather, who were residents of Ward, Tioga, Pennsylvania. And he said, actually said to me, "Thank you so much for your leadership as director. People like Maggie make a pandemic bearable by providing outstanding service, leadership, and kindness." Said all the best. So three correspondents in the pandemic. That's pretty good for us.
Yeah.
Great.
Did everybody see on Facebook that the genealogy department put on Facebook that since people couldn't come in, that they would be willing, if someone wanted to call or write them, call at the reference desk and ask them to research something, they would be glad to do that. I thought that was a very good idea that they had. And
Yes.
yeah.
Didn't they already provide a distance research service?
They always have, but they hadn't really promoted it on social media during the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
And we, didn't we charge before that and this was
Yeah.
free? That
Yeah.
was the other.
Oh,
Oh, that's good to know.
okay. Anything else to report?
Going to have a meeting with the major department heads next week. We're going to go through scenarios for reopening. It's my intent to open for more hours the week of September 14th, probably go from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. We will then add Saturdays by October 5th. And once we go to the more hours, we will probably be discontinuing curbside. But again, that is to be determined when I talk to Connie and Janet.
Will you be opening up the second floor of Steel to people? When I
Yes.
wanted to get a book that was on second floor, I had to reserve it and then come down and pick it up at the main desk.
Yes, we will be doing that.
Okay.
So what's this date, Ron? I didn't,
We're going to open for more hours the week of September 14th. And then we're going to add Saturdays by October 5th.
okay.
We completed all the paperwork for the matching grant program for technology with Southern Tier Library System. Brian received it, said everything looked good. So we'll hear about it sometime next year. As far as the staff room, it is ready to go out to bid. I'm going to be meeting with Bob Butcher, the project manager, next Monday, and we'll discuss the dates and the timeline for the rest of the project. Regarding the boiler, I spoke with the project manager today. They had some delays of equipment delivery as a result of COVID on some of the specialty parts. They're receiving them this week. Much of the piping is pre-assembled in their shop. Once the specialty parts arrive, they will assemble. Its a completion time is going to be around the end of August, which is ahead of the specified time frame for having the boilers return to operation. Final inspection and completion of the punch list will be around the first week in September. So that project, we can put that one to bed. As far as the parking lot, we applied for a construction grant through Southern Tier Library System for New York State. We're told that they have approved $58,000 for the parking lot. The initial estimate was $116,000. That will go up due to labor costs rising and materials increases, but at least we've got some money to put towards it. And we do have a reserve fund already set aside for the rest of the cost for that project.
Wait, we did get that grant?
It's been submitted to Southern Tier Library System.
Okay.
They renew it, they say yes, then they forward it to New York State for approval.
So we haven't gotten approval yet. We've just submitted the
Just
grant.
through, but typically, once Southern Tier Library System approves a project, it's not turned down by New York State. I've never heard of that happening with any library system that I've been involved with. So,
Of course,
And we
this
were
is something new. This year, everything is up
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were
to
approved by,
change, subject to change.
STLS for the grant, or we just submitted it to the STLS?
we submitted it to STLS, and what they're looking to give us is $58,000. I don't know if they've done the formal approval or not.
Okay, so we've applied, but we have no idea whether or not we're getting the money.
Right,
Okay,
standard grant.
okay. I was just a little confused because you had phrased it in a way that made it sound like we already had it. And I was like, wait, no, we just applied.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Was that also your director's report in addition to the correspondence, or should I?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I got ahead of myself.
That's
I have a
okay.
question.
Yeah, Martha.
Has there been any guidance yet from STLS on when they will start trying to remember how to describe it? You know, when you want something and it's at another library, that kind
Oh,
of
the
service.
interlibrary loan?
Well, between libraries in the system.
Yes, that's up and running.
Is it? Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So patrons don't need to look exclusively at their own library's holdings anymore.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, good to
I
know.
knew it was released.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. Ron, how are you making out? I know you said last meeting that the staff was working on the trainings for like the safety
Safety protocol.
protocols and things. Thank you.
Yeah.
Weren't you going to have didn't you have some training sessions for those? You were going to see what dates worked?
Okay, as far as the Workplace Violence Protection
Thank you.
Program, I put in a request to New York State to extend the period to have it done till November 6th. November 6th will be our annual training day.
Gotcha.
All branches are closed, so we'll have all staff available to take the training.
Okay.
November 6th is also the day we're going to be doing the human trafficking training. That's a 4-hour block of instruction. The New York State Workplace Violence is approximately an hour. So how we work it depends on the parameters of the COVID situation, but we'll get that all taken care of on November 6th.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Ron?
Will the board be allowed to attend that staff training?
I don't see why not.
Okay, thank you.
You want to learn how to traffic humans?
No, I'd like to hear how they're being trained to deal with that and workplace violence.
Okay. I was just joking anyway.
Yes, I know.
So the president's report. I mean, I don't really have too much to mention. I've received additional complaints about the way that the book disposal was handled. I know that you had put out, stuff on Facebook to make it so that people were less likely to complain about it, but complain about it, they continued to do so. I don't know if any of you else of you have heard complaints.
Yes.
Yes.
Few people asked, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, yes, you were saying?
A few people asked me why we didn't just put tables out in front of the libraries with signs saying free, please wear mask and keep 6 feet apart.
Because we'd have had to take them out in the morning and take them back in the evening, put them inside, and we don't have the staff to do that, number one. Number two, with the proximity to the promenade, it was something we wasn't real high on our list. We just would cause other issues.
So in the future, when we have to dispose of a large number of books, we should put some more thought and planning into it so that we receive less complaints and concern from the general public.
This was just, I think I said before, this was just the perfect storm that came together. Typically, we're weeding throughout the year, so you don't have a huge amount that's coming out at any one time. We give it to the friends, they go through it, and they're the ones who, put it in for recycling of what they don't send out for resale. So this was just highly unusual.
Okay. So I don't really have anything else to report for the library. I'm keeping tabs on the COVID situation. We are up thanks to a party that someone had without masks or social distancing and a relative from South Carolina. So be careful out there and be sensible about how you socialize. Yeah.
That's right.
Now, our new board member, he does not appear to be on this.
He's here.
He was there.
Oh, there you are. There's Mark.
I'm
Okay.
here.
I just wanted
I've
to
been
make sure
here.
that you were on. I hadn't heard you speak, so.
No.
But yeah, welcome aboard. I'm glad you could
Thank
make
you.
it. Yeah. Alrighty. That's it for me. You already gave your director's report, Ron, but you had approval of personnel actions. I didn't receive personnel actions.
No.
No.
There was only one step increase for Becky Jackson. She's a part-time clerk out at Horsehead. She's going to step 8. It's a contractual increase.
Okay.
All right, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel actions.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, so that has passed. Okay, committee reports. The executive committee, we met in the technology lab, but also in the ether, as one does. And we paid the bills, and we talked again about the book reading, or talk, I guess technically that was first. So we talked about the book reading, and about the workplace violence training, and about how things are open. And it was a pretty short meeting. Does anyone have any questions about that meeting? Okay. Next is the Budget and Finance Committee.
Reports there, our meetings are shorter than yours.
We approved that at the last meeting. That,
Yeah.
it says on our agenda that we have the approval of 2021 budget, but we did that last meeting.
Oh, that's my mistake.
Well, we could approve it again if you really need to. Like, yes, we're really
That's all
behind
right.
this budget.
The wording is already at the Board of Elections for the ballot.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Glad to hear it.
So, Buildings and Grounds Committee.
Ron already pretty much covered everything. And,
Okay.
his report, he's kind of, so just to summarize, the boiler's on track and the kitchen's about ready to go to bed.
Okay. And Personnel Committee, we don't really have anything to report. Right? Or do you, Penny?
Nope, I do not.
Okay. And Election and Continuity.
Okay, I have to change some of the things that I said at the last meeting, I think. And Rick Roberts, our former board president, has written up a report for me, and I'm just going to read it. The committee is continuing to prepare for the election of 2020. As in past years, the trustee election will be conducted on election day with 2 polling places, Steele Memorial Library and Horseheads Free Library. There are 7 districts up for election this year. Currently, the state of these districts are District 1, Pat Silvernail is running. District 5, Bonnie Chalet is running. District 6, Jack Shammo is running. District 8 is Penny Appenzeller. She was appointed last year, running for the remainder of the term. District 10, Phyllis, me, running. District 13, Mark, appointed this year and will run for the remainder of the term. District 14, Martha Smith, running. Does any of those people have any questions for me or anything? Is it clear? If there are any errors or changes, please let the committee know as soon as possible, because identifying new trustee candidates is difficult and time consuming. The STLS representative is Betsy Gorman, and she is up for reappointment this year. Pat, have you talked to Betsy at all?
yes, yes, she said she would run again.
Oh, good. The nominating petitions. This is where the change is from the last time. It was determined that nominating petitions are required for a candidate to actually have their name written on the ballot. And it is up to you if you want to do this or not. You don't have to. If you want to, only 18 signatures will be needed per the governor's executive order 202.51. If you don't do it, again, I said this before, at the vote, you will have to write in and have your friends and neighbors in your district write in your name also. Absentee ballots. It was determined that absentee ballots would be handled the same as in previous years. Sue Cook is working with the Board of Elections to determine if absentee ballots can be placed at the Board of Election polling places on election day. We weren't sure whether that was legal or not, and she said she would see if that would possibility. Does anybody have any questions about
So
this?
what is the standard procedure for absentee ballots during our elections?
What we used to do every year was just have them in the business office, and people could contact the business office and ask for them.
Okay.
Do I understand that if you want to obtain 18 signatures on a petition, do these people know what petition form it is, or is there a standard form that they should have, or do they already have, perhaps?
There is a standard form that
We used to have a
I
standard.
think it's online
Okay.
on the library's website.
I have a copy if anybody needs one. I can send one out.
I do too.
I have
will not-
copies. I mailed them to Jack and to Bonnie and to Martha. The only one who might need a ballot is Mark, I
Yes,
believe.
I need that. I would need that. The petition form.
Do we have,
Okay, can you email the office, or does the office have your mailing address? Because I
They
can mail out a
should have.
ballot.
They should have the email address.
No, not email, mailing.
Oh,
I'll mail you
mailing
a
address?
paper ballot.
I can give them that too.
Holly, do you have Mark's address?
Yes, I do.
All right, would you email me Mark's mailing address?
Sure thing.
Mark, you understand that what this is for is you have to get people to sign it so that it goes on the ballot itself.
Right, right.
and it has to be registered voters.
In your
Yeah.
district.
In my district, yes.
Yes.
Now,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do we have that listing that we can give him? Or do we have to request it fresh from the Board of Elections?
No, well, let's see, let me look at my list and see what, I have it, I can send it to him by email.
Okay, and that'll
Okay.
make it a lot easier for you to find registered voters, because you can be like, oh, well, that's my next door neighbor, and that's this
Right.
kid on the street or whatever.
And
Right.
in
And
this
then
time
harass them until they sign.
of COVID, you understand that if you don't do this, there's no problem with it. Then you just write in your name and have your friends write in your name.
Right.
What I'm going
And
to
you're gonna want to
do,
get at least 2 other people to write in your name, just to make sure they know how to spell your name.
and what I'm going to do is I'm going to call neighbors who have signed my petition before and call them a couple of days ahead of time and remind them that we didn't do a petition this time. Would they please write me in for this particular election, but please vote.
Good.
Good idea.
Phyllis, do we have a deadline for when those petitions need to be submitted?
Yes, September 1st, which is very brief.
Oh,
Oh,
No,
Thank you.
it's later than that. It's like the 14th.
Really? Wait a minute.
I thought we made it the 14th. We didn't want to make it the 11th, so we made it the 14th.
I don't have it in front of me, and I'm sure Pat's right.
And these petitions are returned to where?
To Holly.
To Holly?
Yes.
Okay.
I plan to do what Bonnie's doing, just coerce some of my neighbors into, or friends rather, to go down and vote for me without a petition.
Hello,
Me too.
yes. She didn't pick up. I'm down cellar on a Zoom.
Hey, Jack, could you mute your mic if you're going to talk on your phone?
I just muted him.
Awesome.
Oh, you did. Good man.
Okay, is there anything else that we need for the Election and Continuity Committee? Does everyone know what's happening and have a plan?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anything from the Advocacy Committee?
No,
No, that's on pause.
Okay.
for months now.
So there is a topic that we need to discuss in executive session, but because of the way we have to do things with the recording for this, it's going to be better if we shuffle the executive committee stuff or the executive session stuff until the end, so that we can actually manage to save this video. So I guess we'll do old business.
I don't know if this is old business, but I got the library materials expenditure report for 2020, which was part of this packet.
Yeah.
And that means the staff was buying books or other materials. And this would be to me, I thought this would be a great job from home. You wouldn't have to worry about it. And some of them are 50% through the year. The Big Flats Library has gotten spent about 50%. West Elmira doesn't look like, it's a blank how much they spent. The Horseheads, they've spent 50%. The nonfiction doesn't look like much got spent. And I'm wondering why.
They've been putting carts in all along, and unfortunately, there's been a backlog on getting materials in because we're low on the totem pole. But they have been ordering all along. So I'll talk to them just to make sure that they're still putting the stuff in.
Okay.
And it looks like West Elmira was definitely spending money. About a little less than half of their budget has been spent, but it just didn't end up in the percentage spent this year column. But if you actually look at the numbers, they've spent.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they've spent like a little. They've spent $10,887 or $78 because I can read numbers.
Could I ask a few vocabulary questions?
Go for it.
What does CBA mean?
Central Book Aid?
Central what?
Book Aid.
Book.
It's money we get from New York State because we're the central library.
Okay, thank you. And cost share, I imagine, is with STLS?
Yes. STLS gives us money that they take in from cost share to spend on the other libraries' behalf.
Okay. And Horseheads, what does Books Plus mean?
Books Plus are kits that have, they could have a video with them. They could have a puzzle or some interactive toys or something.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like, you could have a whole kit, say, on dinosaurs.
Oh,
Oh,
A
okay.
bunch of different things
Okay.
would be in there.
Okay, thank you.
Why don't they make that for grown-ups? That would be awesome.
I think from what I see on Facebook, it looks like they're very popular, right?
Yes.
I-
They're really popular with the homeschooling
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah.
And even for the grown-ups, I think they're developing things, like they have the library of things, and Michelle made a real nice knitting basket. It was done as a memorial earlier this year, but it's kind of that same vein, that same thought. I believe there's some knitting needles. I'm not sure about yarn, but some books. So she kind of made a grown-up book too. So they are kind of expanding in that direction as well, you know, in addition to all the board games that they have.
Neat.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions about this particular thingamajig? Okay. Was there any additional old business?
I'd send out a change to Article 7, Section 5.
Right.
Did everybody get it?
Yes.
no. Was it sent today?
Yeah, I sent it today.
No, I didn't get it today. I haven't.
Why don't you just read it, Jack?
Oh,
Did you get it, Rachel?
Yes, I did. Article 5, Section 5. When circumstances will not allow for a meeting of the CCLD board or its committees in person, said meetings may be held remotely using the internet as long as the following are observed. All parties must be able to hear everyone participating in the meeting. If voting takes place, the chair must be able to verify each participant's vote. If a board member is participating by phone, the president of the board must ask them by name what her vote is. If the meeting is by means of any type of video or similar method, the public notice shall contain the password for the public access to the meeting. The meeting shall be recorded and the recording shall be made available to the public. Members of the public who participate in the remote access meeting shall have the right to address the board under the agenda period of public expression.
We are a nonprofit organization, and we should be having a procedure for this epidemic virus situation. If it ever changes, it's not illegal just to leave it in your bylaws, or at some later point we can take and have it expunged. But right now, we should have it there. And one of the things that's important is, if people are on by phone, you're not going to be able to see them. Their name is there, and it's important, if we're close to a quorum, that when a vote is taken, that the president makes sure that the person who we can't see is actually there and hasn't gone outside to pull roses or something, and that we lost our quorum, or that they've walked off for some other reason. It's only good business to have this. I don't see any objection that holds merit why we shouldn't be protecting ourselves, particularly if somebody wanted to challenge us on a vote. How do you know you had a quorum? Because we don't take roll call votes, and sometimes we have people on by phone and we just hear the voice. And it's important that if there's a person on by phone, that the president be able to ask that person, how do you vote? And to verify that in fact they are still with us during the meeting. So I'm going to move to change Article 7,
I have a
Section
comment.
5.
I have a comment, please. I was
I'm
under the
sorry.
impression, according to the open meetings law, that it has to be video, just audio is not accepted or is not legitimate. You have to be able to see the people. You can't just have them on the phone.
Right, but so there were a couple of times earlier where people were zooming in, but because they didn't have good audio on their computer, they were zooming in by phone.
It's not illegal to have them by phone. As long as it can be verified who they are.
I didn't say it was illegal. I said it was, I'm under the impression that according to the open meetings law, it has to be video. Audio is not accepted. That's all I'm saying.
Excuse me, Pam, I didn't mean to interrupt you. The open meeting law isn't in play at this point in time because of the governor's executive order. It supersedes it. We can adopt rules and regulations and procedures until such time as he rescinds or withdraws his executive order, and then the open meetings law will come into play however it's adopted at that point. But we've had meetings where people have been on only by phone. And we need to have that because you can have the video and somebody videos goes out. Are we going to deny them the ability to participate because they're only on by phone?
I don't really have a comment to that.
I'm sorry. I didn't get what you said, Pam.
I said, I don't have any comment to that.
I have a couple of comments, mostly having to do with like grammar and me being a nitpicky person.
I can't hear you.
I said, I don't have objections per se, so much as like grammar nitpicking. So like it should be each participant's apostrophe vote, or no, each participant apostrophe S vote. And then like a couple other things. So if we are going to accept this, we should make sure that it is grammatically correct once it is, you know, officially if it becomes approved, because we should make sure that it is actually saying what it's saying. Does anyone else have any thoughts?
If not, as I said, I moved it as corrected by
Penny, you're muted.
I'm sorry. My question was this. It says when circumstances will not allow for a meeting of the CCL board or its committees in person. So I guess my question is and Jack, I understand what you're saying right now about being the executive order, and I get that. Should we, instead of saying when the circumstances will not allow us to meet, should we say when under executive order, how do I word that? Maybe when circumstances will not allow for a meeting of the CCLD board in person under executive order, can we, you know, we have the ability to do this. Because to me, this says, well, if we just can't all get together, I think this is too ambiguous, that first part of it.
I agree with that point because of the fact that we can't, under open meeting laws, we can't meet via Zoom unless there's an executive order. So I think that has to be placed in there if we're going to change a bylaw over it.
So do we want to specifically mention this particular executive order? Because that's why we're enacting this. So do we want to say when we can't meet because of executive order, whatever the executive order number is? Do we want to have it so it's more specific?
Are you making the correction, Rachel?
Yes, that's what I'm asking. If we want to have that as the correction to say
a specific executive order.
Yeah,
is what
so
you're
that
saying.
It makes it clear the specific circumstances under which we are not meeting.
Yeah.
So it would just be for this time, and if it happens again, there will be a new executive order and it will not apply. Is that correct?
Right, but presumably we can just amend that.
So Rachel, do you want to read what you got?
Right.
The downstairs lights are on. Do you want them left on or?
No, you can put all that off and I'll log out when I go.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, when circumstances will not allow for a meeting of the CCLD board or its committees in person due to
Executive order.
Executive orders relating to public health, meetings will be held remotely using the internet as long as the following are observed. And then that. Sound good? And that way, you know, if we're talking about executive order due to public health, that will cover the next time we get the next time we get shut down.
That sounds good.
At our last meeting, we talked about, Jessica had said she had talked to the attorney, and I believe it was Jack that said he was going to talk to the attorney. So I'm curious, before we put this to a vote, what did the attorney have to say about all this?
I did not contact the attorney.
I mean, it seems to me that if you've got a bylaw that any board that I've been involved, when you don't change your bylaws to a specific situation, you have them general and they cover all situations. So I think, I don't know, I just don't understand why we think we have to do this.
We need bylaws to govern a situation. It's unique because of the governor's executive order. We need to have something that gives the board the authority to do what, and more importantly, protects us. We have no protection. We don't have roll call votes. We have no way, if somebody wanted to challenge and say, how do you know that that vote, there were 16 people, or 16, yeah, listen to me, 9 people present. It's.
So can I make a suggestion? I'm sorry.
It's just simple good business. That's all it is.
Penny?
So can I make a suggestion that instead of going to specific to this pandemic, what if we did that we follow the open meetings law unless directed by executive order, in which case when circumstances at that point, then we will meet as listed. Does that keep it general so that it works under open meetings law unless we're under executive order, which we now are? So now we're under executive order, in which case this now will take precedence. I mean, I'm just wondering, I know Pam, you said about being more general. Does that make more sense if we go general and cover both circumstances?
Yes, it does. But I just don't get why we have to change bylaws relevant to this. But we don't have to go into that discussion because we've had it many times.
Okay, well, so can I get a motion to approve this resolution, this amendment as amended? Can I get a motion to approve this particular language as amended by Penny?
I so move.
Okay, do we have a second for that?
I call the question.
Yeah, but, okay. All right.
Can I second it?
What?
So can I second it?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Jack has proposed, Penny has seconded with, so
Crystal made the motion and I seconded it.
Oh, you seconded? Okay, so Penny proposed her amendments to Jack's amendments. Jack seconded. And I guess we're calling it. Okay, all in favor of the amendments to the bylaws with all of the amendments we've discussed? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, can I get a roll call of who is opposed, because I cannot tell you apart over the internet. So
Carl.
Carl is opposed.
Pam.
Pam is opposed. Phyllis is opposed. Crystal is opposed. Anyone else?
Did Jack have his hand up?
Jack approved.
Okay.
So the only ones who are opposed are Carl, Pam, Phyllis, and Crystal. Is that correct? And everyone else is in favor. So in that case, the resolution passes. And the bylaws are amended. I will, Holly, had you been following what our exact amendments were so that we can
Right,
make
I was
those?
going to ask Penny if she could email me that last wording, just so we're definitely.
I will
on the
do.
And can you make sure to stick that apostrophe in where it goes, please?
Of course.
Okay. Do we have any
One
new
other
business?
I've been trying, believe it or not, since April, I've been talking to State Ed and the Library Association about the question of whether or not at the last meeting of December, we would be able to swear in new board members, and if there is a quorum, elect officers. I had an email yesterday. They're still looking into it. So at this point in time, we just let it go. We got lots of time before December.
And we might all be dead by then anyway. So, any other business? Okay, in that case, I'm going to ask Holly and Ron to log off and to save the video so that we can enter executive session. And I will email you guys, you guys being Holly and Ron, what we eventually decide in this executive session. Right.
Rachel, I'm going to make you co-host
Okay.
or host, so you can shut it down when you're all done.
Okay, I am now the host. Thank you.
Okay, good night.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.